Welcome back to Dooley's Dog Pod. I'm Donnie Trailer.
I am Noah Bice.
And this is a podcast where we talk about everything that happens on Dooley Field and Sanford Stadium with your Georgia Bulldogs. Except, guess what? Depending on how this next game goes, there's not going to be any more games in Sanford Stadium.
Who knows?
You literally never know, as is so obvious by this past game. We'll get into that. But yeah, it's officially SEC Championship week. Don't know how we got here, but you know what? We're going to make the most of it, hopefully. Let's see. We play Texas. We were in as of the last 2 weeks, but Texas ended up in this past weekend because they beat Texas A&M only by 10, which isn't like Texas A&M is a good team. So I can't even necessarily fault them for that, but I'm just saying. So yeah, that's where we are. We have some interesting perspectives on this past game because Noah was working it, and then I was there freezing as a fan.
I was freezing working.
Yeah.
I wasn't just working, freezing working.
But you were running around and stuff, so.
I was sweating.
Exactly. So not freezing, working, just working.
I couldn't feel my fingers at halftime.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. I guess we'll have opening statement on whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about SEC? Let's talk about SEC. You want to talk about Tech? Let's talk about Tech. You want to talk about Christmas? Let's talk about Christmas.
Talk about Tech? Get this out of the way early so I can
Sure.
cut it easier. I think I speak for every fan when I say my reaction to that game was, what the f***?
No, you can't. No, you cannot say that.
And I can cut that up really early. That's my one. I do not deserve the emotional damage that game caused me in any capacity. I posted a meme today that was like being a Georgia fan. And it's like, oh, I'm so excited to see my favorite team play. Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself. Oh, hey, look, we won.
Yep.
And it's very descriptive of what happened. At halftime, I was feeling not motivated that we were going to win. We were looking rough. Offense wasn't really going. And it wasn't that we were doing things wrong, I guess. It was that we just couldn't get the momentum moving. We would just go in 3 and out, go in 3 and out, go in 3 and out. And then Haynes King, who Kirby said this in the presser, and this made it was kind of nice to hear him say it, was their scouting report and everything they had heard, he could not throw the ball with his injury. And then he got out in the game, played the whole game, and then dotted up the team the entire time. And so, also coming off of NC State, where Philo would come in and throw the ball, and then Haynes King would come in and run the ball, it, made sense that he really couldn't throw the ball that well. First quarter, I was up and down 3 jackets, up and down the stairs, and I'm like, man, I'm getting hot. So I go in, and I, peel down to, a base layer like this, and it's, super warm. This is, a wool base layer. And so I go back out, and I'm doing it, and it's warm still. Second quarter starts, I go to get this shot for Chris, our boss, and he's like, try to get this shot, just stand up there, wait for us to score. If you watch the game, we don't score in the second quarter. Nothing good even happens in the second quarter. So I stood there with a camera on a gimbal like this for 15 football minutes. So real life, 6 hours. And I did not move. I watched the game and waited for us to score so I could do this, walk forward with the camera to get this shot. And fun fact about the platform I was standing on, it was way windier right there than anywhere else in the stadium. So this is where I got extremely cold. I couldn't feel my fingers. I couldn't feel my toes. My face was red and chapped from the wind. And then I wouldn't leave to go get a jacket because I knew in my heart that as soon as I left, we would score, we'd get a pick 6, a fumble, and run into the end zone. It would be the greatest play of all time. And Chris would text me and go, oh my God, Noah, did you get that? And I'd have to respond saying, I'm in the media room getting my jacket. No, because I got
cold, yeah.
I got cold and went to go get my jacket. And so I refused to do it. And then I went in at halftime and looked like death. And I asked Caitlin, and I said, Caitlin, I need your kumbaya, it's going to be okay halftime speech. And she goes, that's it pretty much. All we need is one big play. Pauses for a second, then goes, or a turnover. Fast forward, the third quarter is still bad. It's better, it's bad. We go into the third quarter, 17-0?
I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so, because I think we scored at least once in the third.
Well, we go into the third quarter. Yes.
Or into the third.
Yes, we go into the
yes.
third, 17-0. We get a touchdown. Kirby goes for 2. We don't get it. Questionable decision. I don't care. I like it from Kirby. He'd be doing that stuff, and it works most of the time. This time, didn't work, and I was terrified. And so, well, Caitlin, there was your big score. This is not looking hot. Then we go into the fourth quarter, and they score again. Now it is 20-6, and then the Dogs turn up, and we get some touchdowns. We get some, what is it? What is it? Caitlin's words replayed in my head. A turnover. Dan Jackson, a god amongst men.
Oh, my God.
A legend. I actually need to save some money from a paycheck to buy his jersey before he graduates because that man is going down as a dog. Won the game pretty much. CJ Allen, saw him today, had a legacy game. He did really well. And I think when Dan Jackson had forced the fumble, every Tex fan's hopes and joys left the stadium of like, oh my God, they're going to do it. And I will say at halftime, I was depressed. I didn't think we were going to win. People were starting to leave at the end of the third. And I was like, one thing that could happen this game is we could have the greatest comeback of all time. And I was so concerned about that when I was shooting because I was like, if this looks bad or I start to get lazy because, oh, we're going to lose and we come back and win this, it's like, oh no.
It's like all of a sudden this footage went from absolutely useless, we're going to burn it all, to the most valuable that we've had in years.
And then we end up going to OT. And then we go to a lot of OTs. I think the second 8 overtime game in history.
Yeah, the longest one
was
is
a
9.
Yeah, it was like Illinois.
We're so close.
Yeah, and so it's cool though because I get to have the media pass from that time that Georgia went to 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech.
That's what I'm saying.
That's pretty cool. Kirby played in the one against Auburn that went to 6 in the 90s. So that was also interesting. And what he said at the end of the game reminded me of how I felt most of the time during that game. Emotionally draining game. I was emotionally drained. But game ends, we go to OT. I'm sprinting from student section to student section. And
why are you sprinting from student section to student section?
Because in OT, they swap sides every overtime. And every media person on the planet is running. And Chris asked me when I got back, he was like, oh, did you just like pick one spot and stay there? And I was like, absolutely not. I was running down the stairs, up the stairs.
You're like, I was in
down
the game.
Down the stairs, up the stairs again, side to side with you guys because we get in the shot. I was in the tech section, I was in the end zone student section, I was in the band student section, I was in the regular fan section. I was everywhere. And then I was really sweaty. And then sent a lovely little picture to Donna and some of the interns of me sweating so badly in the press conference with headphones on that I literally wore to have white noise to decompress for the 30 minutes that we waited on Kirby to get there because I was overwhelmed. That's my recap of the game. Takeaway, Dogs. Also, other takeaway, why can't we do that earlier in the game? Maybe it's a mind game to make the other teams underestimate us because we almost lost to Georgia Tech and we're come out and play great. That's what I hope. Kirby Smart, mind game, number 1. That is all.
Cool. I was like taking some notes as some of the things you were saying. So basically, my version of that is a lot less detailed because I just showed up and sat down. But at the same time, like, it was so cold. I literally feel like I can't like process what was going on because I was so cold.
I saw you at the beginning of the game.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah. That was literally so funny, like the likelihood of that because
you guys were sitting, up there.
Yeah, I was about to say we were sitting in the 300s. I've never sat that high at a Georgia game in my entire life, and we are sitting there or whatever, and we get coming back from concessions right before the game starts, and I look up and I'm like, oh my God, that's Noah. Oh, we being me and Rowla, a little cousin who's 2 years younger than me.
Dr.
So
Trailer.
Wrong. Yeah, and we are getting ready to go back to our seats, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Noah. So it's like of all the places he could have been just like at the time up top to be filming or whatever, getting fan angle, getting Ronan angle up high or whatever, he was right there where we were. It was hilarious. So I have a picture of us. I was like, oh my God, I gotta take a picture. Hilarious. Anywho, we sit back down. I thought we're prepared, but I guess like you never can fully be prepared when you're gonna like just sit in the cold. Like, I don't know why. I don't know. Like, I mean, jumping up and down and stuff, you're still in one spot. It just wasn't warming me up as much as I thought it was going to. I had on 2 pairs of socks, a pair of boots, 3 pairs of pants, 2 long sleeve shirts, 2 hoodies, and a puffer jacket.
You should have been fine.
Gloves, hand warmers.
I was in this at one point.
A hat, and we were still cold. And we had a blanket. I mean, it was the most, but still, literally still, we were cold. And then like my foot, my like right foot, my toes go numb like way faster than any other part of my body. I don't know what it is. Actually, I do know what it is. My circulation never got back right after I had knee surgery. So that's the reason why. But literally like midway through the first quarter, my like foot was already numb. It was not good. I was like, oh my God. Like I would get up every now and then, take a walk, try to wake it up. Nothing. So I gave up and just was like, we're gonna lock in, right? So that all said, the game gets started. And honestly, I feel like we did not start that game off as rough as people think. Because especially going back and looking at it, I'm not that far in my rewatch, my breakdown analysis of the game on TV. But like, for example, our defense, people are like, oh, our defense couldn't get it together. But it's like, we held them to a field goal like 3 times in a row that they had the ball or whatever. One of which they missed. And then
God, that one was so funny.
When they missed?
Yes.
Yeah.
He was so close.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know how he hooked it so bad.
Yeah, it was crazy. And then, but it's like our offense, we were moving the ball pretty decently. And then on a 3rd and 6 on like the easiest route ever, Arian Smith dropped the ball. So it's like, you can't really count that as like, oh, you know, it's not like their defense is playing so well. It's just like we are having offensive mishaps. And I feel like our defense was doing good to keep them out of the end zone for a hot minute there. And so, what, it ends up being 17-0 at the half.
Yes.
And it was just like, what are we doing? Because we went for it on a 4th down when I feel like we should have just taken the field goal. Because at that time, we would have been tied. It would have been tied 3-3. And I'm like, yes, obviously, you want to try to go for the lead.
We had went for it on 4th down before that, right? Before
in the first down.
Yeah, before.
In the first quarter.
Yeah, before the one we didn't get, I thought we went for 4th earlier on that, and then got 4th again and went for it again. And lost
Maybe it was because we were in the red zone. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like the one time we were in the red zone in like the first quarter or so, where we could have kicked a field goal and tied the game, and it's like, obviously you want to be winning, but you have a lot of game left, and it's like I think mentally and like, just like, I don't know. I think that having a tied score on the board, even if it is just 3-3, goes a lot longer of a way than, oh, we went for it and didn't get it against Georgia Tech, and now we're losing going to the second quarter or whatever. However it was, whatever the timing was. Fast forward through halftime, which was just awful. Well, actually, awful because there was nothing like keeping me like excited, motivated, anything like that. Like during because there was obviously no game. I will say halftime show was really good. The band like had all their like senior recognition and everything like that, and they had like an alumni band which was so cute.
Oh, those are always cool.
Yeah, it was like this one there was like 2 people out there who had been a member of the alumni band every single year that it existed, and it existed for 50 years. And I'm like, do you know how old those people must be?
68.
And they were like doing their thing, man. Like it was crazy. What else? Like they had the alumni flag people and all that stuff. It was really cute. So yeah, I'm like, you know what? We're going to lock in. It's going to be fine. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this was Raleigh's first ever Georgia game. And so like, I was like, I promise you, we don't do this all the time. Like I promise you, we are a good football team.
We do this all the time.
Yes, but no.
All the time.
Right. And so then we come back out and I'm like, we're going to be solid. It's going to be great. We come back, we get the ball because we won the toss and deferred, and we 3-and-out to start the half. I was like, oh my God. Right. And so then it's just like.
Was it 3-and-out or did Arian Smith get that big play first?
I think it was 3-and-out, but maybe I'm wrong.
End of 3rd and 2nd quarter punt. It's Christian Beck pass. Yep, 3-and-out. The Arian Smith run came on the next one. Yeah, for the touchdown.
So that was so fun. Yeah. And then I feel like from there on, mentally, I started to check out because I was just like, this is just so much, and it's so cold. My face, like Noah was saying, he was on that like platform up under the scoreboard, like where we were because we were so high up. Like there was like no like the wind was so bad. I don't know if my face has ever been colder ever. Like it was like it got to a point where my face was so cold that I couldn't like it just I didn't even know it was cold anymore because I couldn't feel it. Anyways, we get into midway through the third or whatever it was, and that's when we score and go for two. And I'm sorry, but that was the most doesn't make sense decision I've ever like witnessed in my life. Like it was like, why would you do that? And people keep saying, "Oh, the analytics say go for it." But at
Yeah, I
the
was
same
gonna say
time,
that's how you explained it. Is they
the
just trust the
analytics
numbers.
say go for it in the sense of like, oh, like we could get this and like, great, now it's 8 instead of 7. But at the same time, it's 17. It's not like it was 16 to what would then be 8, which means we can score again, go for 2 again, and be tied.
Yeah.
Even if you go for 2 times in a row, you're still down by 1 point.
I would assume the analytics of that also have like that factored in. It factors in that the other team is going to score again.
Well, yeah, but then again, what's the point?
Then you tie on 3.
Tie on a field goal?
No, the third touchdown if you have to do it again. I don't know. The math is math. But, yeah, I think even if the analytics say it, it's just like trusted. Again, against Texas, it worked. All the stuff we pulled.
The math made sense, though. That's the difference here.
Yeah, but I think the analytics aren't from like a random score. It is from like that position, being in that like spot. What is the best solution?
Exactly. And in this case, the math didn't make sense for us to do that. Like I get the whole analytical idea of like, okay, like because of X, Y, and Z scenario, as far as on the field, it makes sense for us to go for this because we'll more than likely get it. But it's like, that is all of that, factoring all of that in only makes sense if you look at the scoreboard and you say, oh, okay, if we do this twice, we have tied the game or we're winning the game. Not we'd have to go for 2 and get it 2 times and we still be losing. Like, how does that make sense?
Well, the best part of it is we won.
Yeah.
So the analytics were right.
Now it doesn't matter.
The analytics were right.
Except they weren't.
They were.
They were not.
We won.
That one play doesn't decide. Honestly, if we go for...
We won.
If we get the extra point there instead of the going for 2, we could have won the game in regulation, like you kept begging for us to do, because it would have been 28-27 instead of 27-27 when we scored the last touchdown. I'm just saying, literally going that play, like that's what caused overtime. Anywho,
well, I'd also argue the going for 2.
Yeah.
I think also not going for the field goal in the first quarter.
Oh, of course. Both of those decisions
Thank God
were
Tech's kicker
questionable.
missed.
Yeah, because that would have been it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that all said, getting to the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, I was like, okay, we're doing it up. We scored or whatever. And then they scored, and I was like, oh my God. Because then we were down 2 scores. 2 scores is in touchdowns, not a touchdown and a field goal, which was just like...
2 real scores.
Yeah, 2 real scores. We were down. And then we get the ball back, and our offense finally gets rolling. I'm like, oh my God, look at this. Not us being able to actually throw and catch the ball. Who knew, right? And then we freaking score that first touchdown, and I was like, yes, but also whatever, because there's only like a minute and a half, 2 minutes left in the game. Like, they're going to run the clock out. And then my man, Dan Jackson, who we've been talking about all year, being our most consistent player. And in whatever game it was it Florida, how we started that game off rough defensively to an extent. It was like boiling it back down to the fact that Dan was out for the first half of that game because of the whole targeting thing. Like, I'm like, we need this, right? Dan Jackson just doing his thing. I was like so scared because I was like, are they going to call targeting? Are they going to... Because, I think you've said it. People are like, oh, this man leads with his head all the time. Like, it's just like, that's the way he tackles.
If you look hard enough, he targets every time.
Yeah, and so I was like, oh, God, like, please don't take this away from us. Don't say he was down. All this stuff just went through my head. We get the ball. Chaz Chambliss picks it up. I was like, this man has the ball in his hand. I don't know how it's happened, but whatever. And some kind of way we get the ball. It was amazing. And then we were on our half of the field already, right? Or their half, ? No, our half. Anyways, whatever. It was like, 3 or 4 plays, and we scored again. And then now it's a tie game. So then I'm like, oh, now you don't want to go for 2, huh? Because I was like, what? Like, why are we... The ridiculousness of the entire situation. But whatever.
Well, it makes sense there.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah, the home team goes for 1.
Of course.
Yeah, home team goes to OT. It makes way more sense.
I mean, of course.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense the first time. It would it didn't make sense at any point to go for 2 in this game. Like, what? Until we absolutely had to 80 times over. But anyways, that all said, it's like blah, blah, blah. We get the ball back ultimately with like a couple seconds left in the game. And I was like, just Hail Mary it. Let's go. Let's just see what happens. That's not what happened. Carson got his arm hit. And I was like, oh, God. Because I was like, he just kept doing this number. And I was like, please don't. Please don't be hurt to the point where, like... Anyways.
Jade Rashada legacy game.
Yeah, like we go to the OTs and we just keep OTing and keep OTing and keep OTing. And I was like, I cannot take this. Like, I can't. Somebody, please.
They went by pretty quick. That was the nice part.
Yeah, but it felt like forever. Yeah. I know that, like, ultimately it didn't even really take that long, but it's just like, the emotional roller coaster, like you said, of that freaking game. And just, especially the OT part was just so much. But, like, when we freaking finally, Nate Frazier, sweet baby freshman Nate Frazier, when his behind walked into that end zone.
Yeah. I
have no words. The fireworks, the moment, it was just cinema. And yeah, that's really that. I mean, I don't really know what else I can say. I will say, like he said, like CJ, he didn't have like the best first half of his life, but like that second half /
OT.
Texas's like last drives, and yeah, like
last drives?
Texas, yeah. Tex last drive where he like by himself got like 3 stops in a row.
He had the last stop. It was like he made the tackle to send it to 8 at the end of 7th overtime to send it to 8th
on the 1 yard line.
Yeah,
because of the pass interference.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
Oh my! I started levitating. Anywho,
and then at 8, pressured Haynes King and would have brought him down had he not thrown the ball, but he threw the ball away and then it was a bad throw out of bounds, and then we get the chance to punch it in with Nate Frazier.
Yeah. Literally, CJ. I've been saying the whole time, 4 to 5 guys decided we were not going to lose that game, and that was it. That's all it took. One of them was CJ. The other was Dan Jackson. Another was Cass Jones. Another was Jalen Walker. And another was Carson Beck. Like, as much like as I've been dogging on this man throughout this entire season, during the ups and downs, when necessary, that man did what needed to be done when it needed to be done.
Yeah.
Like, the 4 to 5 of them decided we're not going to lose this football game. And that was it. I hope they do that again this week.
Yeah, the other thing is Aaron Smith had a tough game.
Yeah, he did.
The drop early was rough. The drop in OT was rough.
It did get tipped, though.
Yeah, but it hit him straight in his hand.
I mean, 100%, I was like, oh my God, how do you not catch that? Yeah. But
I fully get it.
Minuscule bit of grace because it got tipped.
And I get that, but it's like it seemed like he had such a good opportunity to bring it in. So it was sad. And it's the other thing is he's been such like a go-to guy the past few years of like.
He's been our explosive play guy for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
This year, though, we've been trying to rely on him to be like wide receiver 1 to an extent.
Yeah.
And it's just like he
I
has
feel like
so
in
many drops.
He did well though.
And like across the board, we have so many drops. Dom Levitt drop. Yeah. I feel like Dylan has the most secure hands of our receivers. That said, even he drops the ball sometimes. We lead the freaking country in drops.
Oh, absolutely. And
it's not even like close. It's just but whatever.
Well, we lost some big dogs in the receiving world. So it's been an interesting little shift.
Yeah. Anywho, Tech was literally insane. So glad we won. Because I remember thinking to myself, when we had that comeback against Alabama, like I remember.
Oh my God! I thought it was going to be that again where we run out of time.
Well, see that, but also I was just like, we were so close to doing the unimaginable in that game, And it would have been like this legendary, like no one forgets about it, like thing if we would have come back from down 28-0 against Bama, 31-0, whatever it was, 31-7, whatever, and taking them down. Like that would be such an iconic moment. I'm like, I just can't. I like cannot stand the idea of our guys getting so close to making the comeback again and not making it. And so I was like, it's our time. Like it's time for us to have one of these games where it goes down to the wire and we come out on top. And thank God we did. Because, I mean, there's been the argument being made now that, like, even if we lose in the SEC Championship game this week, we're still going to be in the playoff.
Yeah.
Because how can you put, again, that would only be our third loss of the season. How can you punish us for being in the SEC Championship game? So, like, God willing, that's the case. But, I mean, we'll see.
Speaking of playoffs, crazy week in college football, the second week in a row.
Yo.
Memphis upsets Tulane, ranked 17. Boise State beat Oregon. That was normal. Ole Miss ends up pulling it out against Mississippi State. Colorado destroys Oklahoma State. Oregon destroys Washington. Michigan upsets Ohio State. Texas ends up beating Texas A&M. Penn State looked shaky against Maryland early, but turned it on after like the first few drives. Notre Dame did fine. Syracuse upsets Miami. Then Clemson, who lost to South Carolina, goes to the ACC Championship now, thanks to the Oranges. For a second, I thought Vanderbilt was going to beat Tennessee. And then out of nowhere, they doubled their score. That was insane.
Yeah.
Anything else? Auburn never looked like they were going to beat Alabama. And that didn't matter. Yeah. And then every rivalry game this week had a fight at midfield.
Literally, except for ours, because we didn't. It was too late and cold.
I think everybody was too tired.
Yeah, I was like 8 overtimes. We were like, we don't have the energy.
Like if I'm a Tech, I guess the other thing is we didn't lose at home. Yeah,
yep.
And it's like if you're just a Tech fan, I think the other thing is if you're a Tech player, you just want to cry. Like,
yeah.
Like you just
oh my God, I felt so bad for their coach.
Oh my God, I felt bad for that entire team.
I mean, I felt bad for the whole team too, but like the coach, like his whole thing, and you can tell that he really means it when he's like, the only thing in this world that I hate is Georgia. Him quoted saying that coming in or whatever, and like for him to lose and his team to lose like that after they had it, and just we've been there. I mean, like I just that like I felt so bad for him, but then when he like met Kirby, because had the class and obviously did what he had to do or whatever, met him at half field or whatever, and just like sat there, I was like, oh my God, I'm so sad. But at the same time, I was like losing it because like, yes, as much as I am sad about your sadness, cry all day long. Like it was just, oh my God, it was like I can't. So anywho, we did what we had to do and we had to do it. But yeah, like the chaos of these last 2 weeks in college football, I don't know that there's ever been, I mean, like, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's ever been a weekend, 2 weekends like this.
Back to back.
Yeah, back to back is crazy.
Year, yeah.
Yes, back to back is crazy. So then, like, freaking, like you said, South Carolina beats Clemson. But because Syracuse did what they did, now Clemson still gets to go to the ACC Championship. Like, it's like, what? Because, like, Miami's not in there, which Miami being one of the top teams in the country, it's like, what happens to them now?
Yeah.
And then...
how do you grade them since they're not going to the ACC Championship? Like, do they go in? Do they deserve to go in?
That's a great question.
Because they lost it a top 10, right? They lost it 6. Yeah. Like, so how do you justify dropping them 7 spots or more?
Well, at the same time, there's just so much other stuff happening around them that I could definitely see them not making it. That's crazy. As tough as it is, mainly because it's like, I don't know. It's like, also too, you have to think about the teams that are just on the like bubble type teams, I guess is what you'd say.
Yeah.
And then also the ones that are in the conference championships. Because basically, like, it's like if SMU wins, Clemson probably still makes it in.
Really?
Because, I mean, they're ranked high enough, and then their ranking is going to go up.
I don't know if they're ranked high enough.
Actually, it's not going to go up because they lost to South Carolina.
To South Carolina at 12. So if they lose, they don't go in. There's no way. That's the one I'm concerned about is if South Carolina goes in. Because, like, it's not that much of a different in rank, but like they're good. And I think they're better than Indiana.
Well, okay, Clemson wins, SMU goes in. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes. So yeah.
Yeah.
And then SMU
Pull up
is
the
like
rankings to help y'all with the visuals. Because it's just like there's a lot going on.
SMU is
9th.
Yeah. So if they lose, I don't know if after beating California, they don't move. I don't think they move in the rankings. I think they stay either at 9. They go between like 9, 8, and 7.
That's the only way it's like I don't think anybody's dead set stationary though, because there's so much going on around everyone.
If anyone's dead set stationary, I think it's SMU. Because then if they lose, they drop out. Clemson goes in. But are they even a top? Because technically, if Boise's ranked higher than Clemson, they get the bye week.
This is the only problem with us doing this today instead of waiting.
Till tomorrow.
We don't have the rankings yet.
Yeah, we're not sure what it's changed to.
Which is fine. It's fine. Speculation is what it is because it doesn't matter because none of it matters until this Sunday anyways. So
if Boise comes in ranked higher than Clemson, but Clemson wins the ACC, and let's say we win the SEC championship, Oregon wins the Big Ten. Big Ten, SEC, Mountain West.
Yes.
And then who's the other conference? Big Ten, SEC,
Wait,
Mountain West.
Who are you saying wins
Does
ACC?
ACC get a bye?
No, because I was about to say, with your example, with Clemson winning.
Yeah.
If Clemson wins, they are the 5th team.
But who's the 4th? Who's the 4th conference
Mountain
champion?
West, ACC. Or no,
There's
Mountain
no
West,
ACC.
SEC.
Big Ten.
Big 10.
Big
12.
Who's the Big 12? Top 25. I need to look at the rankings. Talk for a second.
This is so much. Anywho, I'm filling space while Noah looks some things up. I hope y'all had a great Thanksgiving. I know I had a great Thanksgiving. I got to eat my favorite dish, dressing. Literally so good. The perfect bite.
Yeah.
Dressing, mac and cheese, and yams.
Notre Dame's 4th? When did that happen?
That's what I was a second ago when I went, it's because obviously other than Georgia Tech, the only other team I really wanted to lose this weekend was Notre Dame.
Indiana's Big Ten. Boise State's Mountain West. SMU's Ohio State, Tennessee, Notre Dame. But they're independent, so they can't get a bye, right?
Nope.
So maybe they do.
What's probably going to happen, which is what's going to be awful, is Notre Dame might get. Well, no, they can't. They can't get the 5th spot, can they? If they get basically, there's argument to be made that like the first team out, like the 5 team, has the easiest route. Mm-hmm. Technically.
Yeah, in the bracket.
I just hope that that's not Notre Dame because, like, how dare you play the easiest schedule?
They'll still lose.
And then.
If they play a ranked team, they'll lose.
Screaming.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
Playoff bracket. There's a lot moving on. And like you were saying, it is weird for us to do it on Monday instead of Tuesday because we can't see. And, I don't know if I'm fully comfortable with everything going on in the world. But it's an interesting week we're headed into right now. So right now, Texas, Miami. So this is a Miami no-go in. It has Miami in as the ACC, and then us and Tennessee in the first round. The teams that get the bye are Oregon Big Ten, Boise State Mountain West, Miami ACC, Texas SEC. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's absolutely a hot mess.
And then 5 plays 12, and then they play 4. So yeah, they do end up with an easier schedule.
The funniest part about this is that this is the worst spot we could be in.
Oh yeah, if we get put on the same side as Oregon, it's every football fan in the country has been disrespected because that respectfully should be the national championship.
I don't know what to say.
That's how, as much as Georgia pulls on some goofiness, we pull it out sometimes in most games. Not Ole Miss. Ole Miss was a crazy game.
That was a fluke.
Good on them. In Alabama, we almost pulled it out.
Yeah.
And then there's Alabama's just kryptonite. There's a mental block between Georgia players and Alabama.
Yeah, the only game we really lost this year is Ole Miss, and that, again, was a fluke.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't
We've
know.
shown that we have what it takes to get it done when we have to.
We're capable, but we just
just
need
hope
everybody to
we-
be dialed in.
Yeah.
We can't deal with drops. We can't deal with like
Offensive
interceptions,
miscues.
turnovers.
Yeah, we
Um, yeah. I don't know. Luckily, SEC Championship is basically a home game for us looking up to this week. Now that we know it's Texas, what are you thinking on that after what we've seen earlier this season?
Honestly, people have been asking me for days if I want it to be Texas or Texas A&M. And first of all, I think that we have a good shot either or, right? That said, I think that honestly, and I hope I don't regret this, and even if we do lose, like I still believe this, we match up better against Texas than we do Texas A&M. When you break it all down, what has been one of our biggest weaknesses isn't the word I want to use. Biggest like areas
I think it's fair.
that we have struggled in this year.
I would say defense against the pass.
Rushing quarterbacks.
No, that's fair.
I think if you look at the teams where we have had like rough goes, literally look at Georgia Tech just this past weekend, rushing quarterback. Ole Miss, rushing quarterback. Obviously Alabama, rushing quarterback. Like across the board this year, when we have to try to sit there and be like, okay, are they handing the ball off? Are they keeping it? Are they passing it? That third option, like the RPO, we just don't know, right? And so I think that that's across the board. A lot of teams, obviously, with just quarterbacks being so mobile nowadays, it's just a thing. At the same time, I think that like over the season, we've worked out a lot of our like DB issues.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I can honestly say that I feel like our secondary is more adjusted now than they were earlier on in the season. We've done some personnel changes. We've done different like sets as far as like who we have where and whatnot as far as how that goes. I honestly think second time around our DBs are going to be in a better position. That said,
I think
Ewers is
another
more
thing.
stationary.
Yeah, I think an interesting thing I thought of while you were saying that is, do we see an Archie Manning start against Georgia? Because they tried it. They tried it in Texas, and I think they tried it too late, where Georgia was hot, and he didn't have a chance.
I think start, no, but I do think we see him probably coming much earlier than I think it's going to be what we expected Tech to do this past weekend, which is use them interchangeably a lot more.
Okay, I can get behind that. The other thing is, Texas doesn't have any crazy receivers. Looking back at the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss's top 3 receivers all have more yards than Texas's one. And Texas's one is a tight end. And that's back to the thing of like, we struggle against the pass. And it's usually with teams that have receivers that are really good. And I'm not saying that Texas has bad receivers, but they're not crazy. They're nothing special. And it's like what you were saying with a mobile quarterback, when our DBs have to worry so much about these 1,000-yard receivers or these guys who are potential round 1 targets going into the draft, I think it takes away from our ability to be able to maintain the quarterback, and they're able to get out on the outsides when DBs are getting beat. Now, if the DB can contain their guy and the quarterback gets outside, they have that time to react where they're not trying to fight their way back in. So I think that'll be an interesting thing, and I think that's what you kind of said about the matchup better with Texas. Like, at the end of the day, the rankings don't matter. The team that we're going up against is the biggest thing, and I think the matchup against Texas is a good point to make of we match up really good against Texas.
Yeah, I think I honestly believe that if we go into this game, and especially if we execute early, like you're saying, we start big in this game. With it being, people are like, oh, it's so hard to beat teams twice. And I agree with that, but I also believe that we 100% can do it.
Yeah.
Like I think that, first of all, it's hard to beat a team twice. That's a great point, but at the same time, I feel like both of our teams are two completely separate teams from where we were when we played each other originally.
Yeah.
To an extent, right? And so, like, yes, they're wearing the same uniforms, but it's a completely different setup, completely different environment, completely different everything. And I think a lot of that works in our favor because, again, glorified home game. It's in Atlanta. My mama going. How are we going to lose in front of my mama? We can't do that. And so, like, how do we make sure that the outcome this time around is not the same as it was last time? First of all, we have to stress that point to the players. The fact that it can be done. It has happened before. Many a times, teams have played teams twice in the same year and gotten a job done 2 times in a row. That said, interviews today, that's the one thing that I like about going on Monday is like I have some like fresh perspective from some of our players. And like Jalen Walker seems like he is locked in, ready to go. He always is like that. But Carson, I don't know that I've ever heard him give a better interview than he did today. I mean, he talked about so many things. I wrote some of them down earlier. He talked about how he has realized that like he needs to show more emotion. I've been begging for that for years at this point, it feels like. But like how it's one thing to be an even-keeled guy in general, which that much is actually quite obvious from like seeing him off the field. Like he just is like this all the time. He's just a very flat person. It's just like when you are the leader of a team like this, when you're the leader of anything, people need to see like, 1, that you care, and 2, that like you are in the moment, I guess, in a sense, like you're present. And so I feel like he literally has been like, yeah, I need to start showing some emotion more because it keeps the team in it, keeps us all engaged. I was like, oh my God, thank you very much. I've been saying that for decades. Then he also said that he has been like working and realizing how much more like his run game can like help make an impact. Not just in the sense of, oh my gosh, nobody's open, I got to get 3 yards, let me run 3 steps, right? Not just that, but also in the sense of I go for it, put my body on the line, the guys see me do that. That is a momentum boost. I don't care what anybody says. When that man took off and run in that Tennessee game, that could have been the clutch winning moment in that game. When he ran, didn't just slide, lowered his shoulder and ate that hit from that Tennessee back, everybody lost it. The fans were in it. The team was going crazy. Like that type of momentum shift is invaluable. You cannot put a price on that. And in an SEC championship-like environment, in the bins, he knows already, very obviously from what he was saying today, he's ready to make that move if necessary. So
good for him.
I think that like, I don't know. I feel like I've never seen him so locked in. He also talked about how this is his last chance to get an SEC championship, right? With him being the lead guy. Like he was like, I've never gotten one of my own, right? He's like, I have an SEC championship. I have 2 SEC championships. I have an SEC championship. I have 2 national championships, but none of those are technically my own or whatever is what he was saying. He was like, I want to be able to, it's different when you're on the team in the back seat, especially when he was saying like when you're doing all the work as the guys who are starting, but you're not starting. It's like now it's different. Now like I'm in the driver's seat and I want to be able to be like, I actually did something to get these rings, not just that I just have them because I happen to be on the team. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly the mentality that we need. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, like it was just very insightful listening to him today. He was great. Like I said, Jalen was great, but I feel like he's more like, we got to get in here. We got to get this game done. Like, we got to do what we got to do. Everybody stays on their mark. Everybody does their part. We're going to be fine. So I feel like he is very much like in that confident space of like his approach to this game. I think that Carson is in that very like go-getter stage as far as his approach to the game. So I don't know. I think that both of them being 2 of our biggest leaders on the team, hearing from them today, getting their perspective, seeing where they're at, helped me to calm down.
I think there's like a little bit of a concern with Carson being overly confident, from me at least. Because sometimes I feel like he was a very confident guy, or maybe not confident, but go-getter. Because it's like with the issues of turnovers, how much is he willing to risk to go get it? But I do think we're dealing with a very different Carson Beck than we have the whole year. So I'm reassured in that sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, he also talked today about how he will fully admit that there's been times in this year where he's tried to like force things that were unnecessary, but he just like was trying to do it all himself and basically almost playing like hero ball because he felt like he had to. But now he's like realized my teammates got my back and I can do what I need to do if that means I throw the ball away on first down, it is what it is. And so I'm like, that again is just, I don't know. I just feel like I saw so much evolution from him in this press conference. And so I was like, OMG, yes, you now are speaking and seeming like someone who is really going to lead this team to however far we can go. And honestly, especially depending on where our placement ends up falling in this bracket, I think we can make a national championship. I think
we can too, but a lot rides on this game, on that placement, and especially on a team that Kirby says this all the time. Was saying it in the presser after the game. This is a beat-up team, and if we can get that bye week, that means a lot at this point.
Yes. Oh my God. That's one thing Carson also said. One of the first things out of his mouth before we even press record, which I don't think is a problem for me to share this, but he was like, "We really need to win this game so we can all have a minute to breathe." Because I think that that's just a general, thought or whatever.
Especially after a short week against a team who had a long week.
Yeah. So we just need to win the game so we can have a month where everybody can breathe for a second. To your point about health of the team, our defense is the healthiest that it's been all year right now. But our offense, we're still getting backs back. Trevor Etienne, I don't know a timeline for when he's going to be back, but he did running and stuff last week, but he never fully practiced.
Yeah.
And so, or practice running, obviously, because that is a lot of contact that he's going to have to take no matter what, as being a running back. We got Broderick Robinson back this past game.
Yeah, he played.
He had a couple runs for us, which was good to just get him some in-game reps because he's been out for so long. Branson Robinson was dressed out. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe.
I think we see a lot of players that we haven't seen this week.
I just, hope that it's not just, too much going on. Also, there's, I saw it out there somewhere that, Colby Young might be back.
I think we see a lot of players this week.
So it's just going to be a lot going on, but I really hope that ends up being not something that discombobulates the team, but that makes Texas discombobulated. Because, oh my gosh, we did all this prep for X, Y, and Z, and now there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G that's happening.
I definitely don't think it tears anything up for us, because I think sometimes I get like this where it's like, oh my God, they haven't been there, they've been hurt, they haven't been in the game, and you kind of start to forget that they're still there in a sense of at practice, and they're not of course they're not getting active reps with rehab and stuff, but it's I think from the standpoint of being in the facility and with the team, they're still there, and it doesn't throw stuff off too much most of the time, and they're guys who've been around for a little bit for the most part. So I think it'll be a good addition to get some guys back, especially. And that was my thing of where back to the bye week, we need it at this point. We need to win this game to get more time to rest. It was either don't get in the SEC championship and use this week to rest, or get in and you have to win because you need that extra. It's the same timeline either way.
Yep.
But the other thing, I think talking about it's made me feel a little bit better, especially with you being confident. That's one thing. That's new.
That's new. Okay, maybe I'm not confident because I don't need to switch up the juju.
But the other thing is, no matter who you are, no matter how composed you are, how calm you are, Georgia is coming into this team knowing that they have beat up on this team before, and they're coming in hot with some momentum. That means we need to take it early. Texas is coming in, whether they think they are telling the people that they're ready for this game and they're not concerned with the game that previously happened, they are. That was one of the most physical games I've ever seen. And with Kirby talking about physicality, you don't come in as a Texas player and just forget how hard Georgia hit you, how hard Dan Jackson hit somebody, how Quinn Ewers was sacked from behind, Jalen Walker strip sacking. You don't forget these things. And so no matter how confident they're going to portray themselves to the media, they're going to come in with, I don't think, a chip on their shoulder, and more so a sense of okay, can we get the ball rolling? And some more of a cautiousness of we need to shift momentum our side. And I think being at home, having that win in such a dominant way gives Georgia the momentum to start. But with Georgia being a slow team to start, we can't lose that momentum. And I think it's extremely important that we do start hot and we start the same way we started that game of where, okay, we can do this. And I think if we get to the point of we're letting the momentum shift in their favor and we're having to fight back into a game, we've proven we can do it. We've been down in 7 games this year, and there's a stat. It's like between 6 and 8. A lot of games that we've been down, and we've come back and won them. I just don't want to do that more. Stop. Just win. And Texas was not one of those games. Texas was the game that we came out and we dominated the entire time, and we played great. And if I see Jalen Walker, Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs cop running after Quinn Ewers, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to feel good.
God.
And it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
So much going on. Score predictions. So while he's thinking, because I just did mine while he was saying that, because I was like, I have a point that I want to bring up. I have to give a shout out to some of the biggest ops that I know in Ben Wall and his brother Josh, because Brandon did them downtown after the game, and basically they were
Josh was in Georgia stuff.
He was.
Yes.
He's not an op. That's my bad. So
put some respect on his name.
I'm about to say, yeah, much respect there. But like Ben, biggest op I know, listens to the podcast all the time. So shout out to you, but at the same time, go Dogs. That's all I gotta say.
I will say Ben is a fake Tech fan.
I'm screaming.
He roots for Georgia every other time.
Don't expose that man like that.
Sorry,
He's gonna shoot for his own water.
Bro, I watched the NC State game that they had on like Thursday or Friday night, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "You're not watching this game?"
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Anyhow, yeah, running to them downtown was hilarious. I was like, "Yo,
DP-do.
What's going on?" I didn't see them anywhere close to there, but yeah.
Oh. That's where he was.
I saw them like right outside of like Mellow Mushroom.
Valid.
Anyways,
it
was
moving
very
past
funny
that.
talking to them. So yeah.
Score predictions.
Do you have yours?
Trying to think. It's also, we didn't do score predictions last week.
I know.
It doesn't matter. It clearly doesn't. We would not have gotten that right.
Nobody would have ever in their right mind guessed that.
I think we sent them to, Ben texted us and was like, no score prediction.
Yeah.
And we gave him ours, and they were not anywhere close.
Nobody was anywhere close. He even gave his own. It wasn't anywhere close.
Yeah. Let's see here.
Another thing that I was going to say earlier, I forgot to say, is that I absolutely hate that I did not work this game. Like, I will say, being able to experience as a fan, sick. But like he said earlier, or maybe it wasn't you, but somebody I was talking to was like, being able to say that, like, oh, you know, it was you. You said it earlier. Being able to have a credential for this game. Like, when I tell you, I was like a text message away from working this game. Because I think I put in for a credential for it because I was like, yeah, like, I'll probably work it. But then I was like, or actually, you know what? What if I use the tickets instead of giving them to someone else like I normally do? Because I asked for tickets for this game like early in the season or whatever. I was like, you know what? I'm going to go. And like, while yes, also no.
Okay.
You ready?
I think I'm ready. Yes. Yes.
Oh, God. I might change my score. Hold on. Let me just do this. And then I'm going to put down my other one.
Mind you,
ready?
Georgia are not favorites going into this game.
That's cute.
Georgia has a 38.5% chance against ESPN analytics. If there's anything I know about Georgia, analytics don't matter. Also, the spread is outrageously low.
All right.
They have Texas winning on the spread. That's new.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Matchup predictor normally, it doesn't reflect the actual odds.
No. Yeah, matchup predictor has Texas 61% chance of winning, and the odds have Texas winning.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
that's not normal.
Yeah, that's not what it was for the first game.
Yeah.
Interesting. Ooh.
Okay,
I'm
so
going
are you
against
ready?
Vegas today.
Okay. What's their score? Wait, you want to do theirs or ours?
Theirs.
Okay, theirs. 1, 2, 3, 20.
17. Ooh, close.
Okay.
Okay.
And then our score, 1, 2, 3, 27.
38.
Wow.
Yeah.
38?
Yeah. I'm
So here's what I was torn between. I almost said 30 to 24.
Okay. I don't want to think it'll be that close.
38?
Yeah.
When's the last time we put up over 30 on anybody that obviously wasn't this past game or UMass? Like, you can't count the games that don't count.
Mississippi State earlier this season. Florida 34-20. Texas was 30-15 last time. We lost 30-41.
38?
Yep.
Lord have mercy. You know what?
I think with the nature of Carson being locked in on this is my last chance, I trust the people around me. With us being at home and having a little bit of swagger to our step going into this game, I think we're going to fire on all cylinders. I think we may see our defense be a Georgia defense. Also, maybe I've just been watching too many 2021 highlights. But I'm big on the Dogs this week.
Anyways, okay, that all said, I'm good if you're good.
I mean, I guess I'm good. Who are the other championship games?
ACC is Clemson, SMU.
There's no way Clemson can lose that game. Clemson has to beat SMU.
SMU's a good team.
I don't think they're that good.
They've beat better teams than Clemson has.
Don't care. They beat Nevada by 5 points. They're cheeks. They lost to BYU. They're cheeks. Yeah, I don't believe in them. But we'll see.
We will see. Anywho,
who else? Hold up. Wait a minute. That doesn't matter.
Oregon.
Penn State and Oregon.
Yeah, Penn
Somebody
State.
has to lose.
Somebody does have to lose.
And I think it's going to be Penn State. I think Oregon smacks them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is in, where, Indiana? Yeah, it is. Indianapolis, Lucas Oil. It's been that's been a good stadium. But Dan Lanning wasn't on our staff then, was he? He had left at that point. Oh, he was. Well, that stadium's been very good to Dan Lanning. So we'll see if it stays good.
Where was the second natty? Oh, L.A.
LA. You were there.
I was there.
Left God. Me.
I did. I'm sorry. Anyhow, are we good?
I'm good. I'm done.
All right. This has been another episode of Dooley's Dog Pod. I'm Donnie Traylor.
I am Noah Bice.
And thanks for listening. We'll talk to y'all at some point. I guess next week. We don't have a game next week, obviously. So maybe we'll just be recapping the SEC Championship game and like figuring out this whole selection show situation. Mm-hmm. Maybe we do a live podcast watching the selection show. That could be kind of funny.
Tomorrow?
Live.
I don't know how to set stuff up live.
Next week.
Oh, I was like, I don't know how to make anything live.
I'm sure we can figure it out. Anywho, we'll talk to y'all. Peace out.
Bye. You didn't say, oh, I'm Donnie Traylor and I'm Noah Bice.
Yes, we did.
At the end.
We did.
I said I'm Noah Bice.
Yes, you did.